should provide The information provided on this show does not, and is not intended to, constitute legal advice. Instead, all information on this show is for general informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for legal advice, and we recommend viewers consult an attorney for specific legal matters.
Good morning and welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs here on our YouTube.
Good morning.
Yay! And we love having our show because it's made available to you because of our wonderful sponsors. And our diamond sponsor is Best Roofing, who's always over at Eric's house.
Right, seems that way. Hey, as a matter of fact, we have a brand new sponsor this week, HCMC, whose specialty is project management and project construction owners representation. And I understand, Rob, you have a kind of a personal story about that.
Yeah, I think, I'm going through a lot of a project for waterproofing and a window replacement in my building, and boy, is it utter chaos without having
Of
good
course.
oversight.
Yes, they
Our-
do it for you, right?
Yeah, they really protect owners. I
Right,
mean,
exactly. You know, the board can't watch every single thing that the contractor is doing, and you want to make sure somebody's doing it, and that's exactly what an owner's rep is for. So we look forward to meeting them. I think, what's the gentleman's name?
Sam Hodge.
Sam Hodge. Okay, Sam, we
Sam.
look forward to meeting you, having you on our show. Welcome aboard, buddy.
All right, sounds good to me. Also, Eric is an attorney. He's board certified by the Florida Bar in Community Association Law, Plan Development. He's got an office here in Hollywood and then also in Orlando. And of course, we're here each week to answer your calls, questions, and your chat questions here about anything that's making your life in your condo or HOA absolutely crazy from 1 minute to the next. Like
Wait a
me,
minute, hold on. Why are we assuming all these years that it's making everybody miserable?
because I have a story.
I know they're cutting down a tree in front of your house.
Well, they want to cut my
Right.
tree down.
But maybe we're wrong, and it's making everybody just happy
No.
and gleeful.
No.
No,
No.
What, Rob? No, am I way
Highly-
off? Am I way off
Highly
base here?
doubtful.
Yeah.
Highly doubtful. So we want to get the phone lines going early. Give us a call and Robert will answer it. 717 Glazer 8. That's 717 452 9378. That's Glazer with a Z if you're doing it like on your phone. And you can also ask us a question.
And don't forget, everybody, to subscribe to two things, of course. Number one is the Condo Craze and HOAs channel on YouTube, where you can certainly watch us live like you're doing now, or watch any of our approximately 200 other shows that we have in the bank. And of course, subscribe to Condo Craze and HOAs.com go to Condo Craze and HOAs.com and subscribe to our email list. By doing so, you can get announcements about the show each week. You can get updates on the law. You can get access to our blog and a whole lot more. And
Yeah, also this subscribe thing is really important
Yep.
because then it builds up our following. It's really helpful. If you haven't subscribed and you ring the bell and do all that.
proud
because
to
it's-
say we have thousands and thousands of followers now.
That's
It's
huge.
really nice to
That's
say.
really
Yeah.
big. It's very, very important.
Honored to say the least.
Honored to say that we're also on Facebook. We're on Apple, Spotify, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
And like I said, we do a blog every single week at condocrazeandhoas.com. All right. So last week we discussed the fact that doing the budget in smaller condominiums is not as easy as it used to be. Well, this week we flip it around a little bit and we talk about how much harder it's now become for larger condominiums to pass their budget. And
Yeah.
has it ever?
Well, it was supposed to be so easy.
Yes.
I mean, right? You were
No
telling me-
longer. That I can
you said
tell you.
It was, it's going to be simple.
Yes.
Throw in the anticipated income, show the anticipated expenses, unless they're, what is it, discretionary?
Yes, exactly.
Budget for the roof, pavement, painting, reserves, perhaps waive the reserves, and you're done.
Yep.
Well, because of the mandatory reserves, it has gotten a lot more complicated.
So the question is, right, we're going to talk about larger condominiums today. What is a larger size condominium and why does it matter? So in simple terms, a condominium that has 3 or more habitable stories, that's your larger condominium. So if your condominium meets this definition, you're required to complete a structural integrity reserve study, right, which is known as a SEERS,
Right.
by December 31st, 2025. And guess what, everybody? That's just 2 months away.
I put my Christmas tree up.
Already? Oh, God, yeah, you walk into Home Depot and it's all like Christmas already. It's incredible.
Anyway, just to make the point, it's not
Yes.
that
Oh,
far
it's
away.
not that far away
It's
at
less
all.
than 100 days.
Yes,
So
exactly.
anyway, and when you've got a larger condo, you're required to start fully funding the Sears
Yeah,
reserves, right?
absolutely. So it all starts with the budget for 2026. So that's coming up. So starting in 2026, like you're saying, Karen, you're required to fully fund the amounts due according to your structural integrity reserve study. So here's the components of a structural integrity reserve study, right? So you got your roof, you got your structure and load bearing walls, you got your fireproofing and fire protection systems, plumbing, electrical systems, waterproofing and exterior painting, windows and exterior doors, and any other item that has a deferred maintenance expense or replacement cost that exceeds $25,000. Let's just say that $25,000 as determined by the visual inspection portion of the structural integrity reserve study. It used to be 10,000, now it's 25,000.
Okay. So, and I understand that unit owners can no longer waive any of the components of the Sears reserve.
That's right. So everything I just named, or that whole list, you can't waive it. That's correct. Owners cannot vote to waive these reserves except in one limited circumstance. Brand new law. It was just passed by the Florida legislature. So all those items that I just named, they all have to be funded starting in January 2026, unless, here's the one exception.
Oh boy.
The association has completed a milestone inspection within the previous 2 calendar years, and upon the approval of a majority of the total voting interests of the association, they can temporarily pause for a period of no more than 2 consecutive budgets. You can forget the reserve contributions or reduce the amount of reserve fundings for the purpose of funding repairs that were recommended by the milestone inspection. Okay,
So
very limited circumstance.
if your Sears is going to coincide with your milestone,
Pretty much, right. So you do
it's
this,
okay.
it's a milestone inspection. Now they're
It's
telling
the
you
same difference, right?
a little. So
But
here's
there's different things, right?
the intent is, okay, so you did your milestone inspection. They now tell you you got to make a lot of expensive repairs, right? That's what your inspection reveals. So, okay, because you have to do that, we'll let you waive 2 years of reserves so you can focus your money on making the anticipated repairs. That's the intent on it.
But some associations not only have reserves for Sears, they also reserve for other expensive
They do.
things.
That's right. And it's not just for Sears, like you say. Some associations reserve, for example, for pool repair, for elevators. So here's what the statute says to be really, really clear. Here's what the statute still says. In addition to annual operating expenses, the budget must include reserve accounts for capital expenditures and deferred maintenance. These accounts must include, but are not limited to, roof replacement, building painting, and pavement resurfacing, regardless of the amount of deferred maintenance expense or replacement costs, and any other item that has a deferred maintenance expense of $25,000. Okay? So, yes, you have to reserve for your Sears expensive anticipated repairs or replacements, but under this statute, in addition to that, you have to reserve for items, let's say, like the elevator.
Right.
Why? Because the elevator is going to be more than $25,000.
Oh, yeah.
But for those things, like the elevator, like the pool, the unit owners can vote to waive the reserves for those things and those things only. Sears reserves, no. The other things that may be in excess of $25,000, but not Sears reserves, yes, you can vote to waive those if a majority of the unit owners in the condominium vote for it.
Wait, you can waive the elevator?
Yes, right, because the elevator is not part of the Sears reserves. You got it? You can't waive the Sears reserves. It's complicated stuff. You can't waive the Sears reserves, right?
Right.
But you have that other statute that I just read says, okay, anything above 25,000, you got to reserve for. Now, if it's not related to the structure, like the elevators, the pool, not related to the structure, right? You could waive those.
But if the elevator doesn't work and you have people that can't get up the steps.
Hey, I didn't write the statute on this one.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
I didn't write it.
Okay, what about the timing of the budget? What are the time constraints about all of this?
Okay. Statute says, this is a critical question. The board shall adopt the budget at least 14 days before the start of the fiscal year. Now, what's the start of the fiscal year? Almost everybody watching this show has your fiscal year from January 1st to December 31st. So we're talking about all this has to be adopted. You thought January 1st is coming up. Now you have to adopt this budget that I just mentioned 14 days before that. So, and you got to give 14 days notice, by the way, to adopt the budget. So all of this is coming up, and it's coming up fast. Now, did you think all of this is confusing?
Did you get all that?
Wait until next week.
Oh, goody.
It's going to be even more confusing than it was this week. But if you're confused, and I'm sure a lot of you are, if you live in a larger condominium, what the good news is, Rob, they can watch this anytime they want.
Yeah.
And I got really, really nice emails from some community association managers last week, as a matter of fact, that said, we appreciate the fact that you did a show last week on smaller condominiums.
Yeah.
Because
it's the majority, you said.
yes, correct. And smaller condominiums now are not in the spotlight at all, obviously, because of Sears, because of the collapse of the Champlain Towers. And it was great that someone showed us how to do a budget in a smaller condominium.
So that was last
now
week's
we're
show.
talking about larger condominiums. If you're confused, watch this again. All right. So what do you at home think? Give us a call here in the studio, 717-452-9378. That's 717-GLAZER-8. Or drop us a question or comment in the chat box on YouTube on Condo Craze and HOAs. We will be back right after this.
In South Florida, the transition from bright sunshine to heavy rain and hurricanes can take a toll on your property's exterior and structural integrity. Cracked stucco, spalled concrete, they're more than eyesores. They can signal deeper issues. Now, with new Florida laws involving structural integrity requirements, we want to help you meet your milestone inspections and maintain the durability and beauty of your building. Since 2004, PD has been the trusted expert in structural concrete restoration, painting, and waterproofing for condominiums and commercial properties. Visit pd-concrete.com or call us today.
We are DMI Paving and Seal Coating, Florida's parking lot experts. We specialize in asphalt paving and repair, including pothole repair, seal coating using JC7 or polytar, concrete curbs, ramps, and walkways, and striping and pavement marking, as well as ADA compliance. We service commercial properties, including homeowners associations, apartment communities, shopping malls, warehouses, stadiums and arenas, and more. Experience is worth more than anything in an industry like ours, and our staff has decades of it. We have specialized equipment for any job, regardless of size, saving you time and money. DMI has a reputable history. We have been in business since 1956. We serve the state of Florida from 6 locations. Let us bid on your next parking lot project. Visit us online at dmipavingandsealcoating.com.
Welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs here on our YouTube channel. No, my mic isn't working.
All right. So
Let me talking to your chat.
I'll
Oh,
take
now
it
I hear
from-
myself now.
Yeah, I'll take it from here. No big deal.
Okay.
So Hernando writes in, then says, can I buy and reside in a 55 plus condo if I'm 50? What about the 80-20 rule? Okay. A lot of people watching from a 55 and over community. So what does the 80-20 rule mean? A 80-20 rule means that you qualify as a 55 and over community if your floor is 80%. So you can't qualify if only 75% of your units are occupied by somebody 55 or over.
And
You've
you
only
lose the
qualified if
designation.
you lose it, right? So you have to get to 80%. Now, let's say you're at 95% and someone comes over to you and says, okay, I want to now rent my unit to somebody who's 40, and you'll still be at 93%. What's
You're
the big
good.
deal? The condo does not have to let you do that. That 20% number that you have to play with, the condo can do whatever they want,
Oh,
basically, as long
okay.
as it says so in the documents. It could say, nope, we want to make sure that every unit is occupied by somebody 55 or over. The most important thing to know is that the age of the owner, totally irrelevant. It doesn't mean a thing. An 18-year-old can own the unit. The important thing is occupancy. Occupancy is the
At least
important thing.
one person.
At least one person, 55 and over. As long as we're on the topic, you alluded to the fact that most important thing to do also for a 55 and over community is once at least every 2 years, you have to take reliable surveys showing that a unit is occupied by somebody 55 and over. How do you do that? You can literally knock on the door if you have to, and you got to get proof that someone living there is 55 and over. It could be with a passport, it can be with a birth certificate, it can be with a driver's license.
Oh, so they have to be legal.
Do they have to be legal? That's interesting. Well, you got to actually
You're
get
saying
proof.
passport.
That's
Yeah.
well, you do have to have some sort of legal proof that the person there is 55 or over. Yes. So what kind of proof they can give you if they're not legal? I don't know. It's a good question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Go back to the phones, Rob.
All right, let's go to our first caller. I don't see a name, so just please let us know where you're calling from.
Good morning, no
And
name.
if you hear a beep, you're live.
Hey, ready to take your call. You there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Who's this?
This is Julia from Hallandale.
Hey,
Hey,
Julia, how
Julia.
are you?
So far, so good. Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Thank you very much. Same to you, dear.
Very sweet year for you.
Thank
and
you.
Sharon. A question regarding the camera footage. So there are security cameras on property. And from what I understand, they're not connected to anywhere, not police, not monitoring service. So the footage is just being stored somewhere. What are the responsibilities of the board and CAM to maintain that footage and make it accessible to the owner? And what is the proper way to request it? And also, is there a specific place in the statute that can be quoted to the board to educate them on their responsibilities in that regard?
Wow, this is a very interesting question because there's fights about this all the time. So, when someone makes a request for official records, what is an official record? And the statute is clear. An official record is actually a written record. So videos don't fall under the definition of an official record. Why? Because it's not a written record.
But why have a camera that's not connected to anything?
Well, that's
Is it
another
a-
good
is it a
question.
fake camera?
Well, I know it's recording, I think she said, but it like doesn't go to the police department automatically. So the question is, can a unit owner ask for it, ask to see it, like, routinely? And the answer to that is no, not if they're asking for it just as an official record. However, there's a caveat to that. And the caveat is, let's say an incident does occur, right? Someone got mugged in the parking lot or so a car was broken into. If a unit owner goes to the manager, right,
Okay.
and says, hey, there was an
There's a
incident
crime.
here last night, okay? I want to see the videotape, or I want the videotape preserved, and you're on notice that something happened, you better preserve that video.
Ooh.
Because if you don't, you can be charged, if you're eventually sued, you can be charged with spoliation of evidence. Spoliation of evidence, because if you were told to preserve the evidence and you did not, and when you go to court now, there could be a presumption against you that that evidence was against you, and that's why you destroyed it. So it's very, very important to make sure that once you're put on notice that something happened, you better stop and preserve any evidence
It's
that of the
spoliation,
crime.
not evidence tampering.
It's spoliation, correct. It's not technically not evidence tampering, I guess, but it's
Because that's
spoliation. This is
like-
actually like destruction of. Yeah. So, Julia, good question, but it's not considered denying access to official records. And I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Hey, let's see. We had an interesting question from, who was it that said people in condos are Debbie Downers. Do you think that that's the case? Do most people who live in a condominium tend to complain when there's really not that much to
Yes.
complain about? You think so?
Yes,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, they do.
come on. It's a lot of these people came down from New York, and I think that they forget where they came from. You know,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
moved down to Florida, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they're sitting in a beautiful
The
condominium
free
on the
state of
water,
Florida.
right? And they're sitting at a beautiful pool, and for some reason, the freaking arguments don't stop, right? Do you forget where you came from, everybody?
It was
Right?
funny because I was lying in bed and I thought I smelled cigarette smoke. I live alone.
Right.
And then they sent a notice out that can't smoke in section 3,
Oh, really?
building 24. Someone's smoking.
Oh, right. You know, that's interesting too. So there's a
So I
provision that says you can't even smoke in your unit.
anywhere.
Really?
There's a no smoking everything.
That's great. A lot of condominiums did not change their declaration of condominium to have that. In other
Yeah.
words, the board made rules you can't smoke in certain common element areas. But what about not being able to smoke
Inside your own
inside your
house.
unit? Yeah, you have communities that are amending
I
their
smelled it
documents
though. I was
now
like, what
to
is
say you
that?
can't do it. Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Back to the phones, Rob.
Right. Next caller didn't leave a name either. Let us know your name and calling from.
Hello, this is Marie from Fort Lauderdale.
Good
Hello,
morning,
Eric
Marie.
and Karen.
How are you?
Good morning. Hi, good. Okay, so I have a quick question. The board member who took care of our accounting, the secretary who never did the minutes, and the president all moved out in the middle of the night within the last 8 weeks. All 3 of those board members are gone. Since then, the community has questions about where the money is being, used, how it's being used, why we have these assessments. And the new president just says, "Don't worry about it. It's all taken care of." We have all the records sent over to a new woman who's calling herself the accountant, who is on the board now. Well, we still have questions. They won't answer the questions. And I said, we all recommended we get a new property manager. He said, we can't do that because they're 8 months behind with the financials. We
Okay.
have reason to believe that a lot of bad things are going on. When are the financials supposed to be in? Like, I know the budget has to be created for the following year. Can you tell me what, the sequence of how that works?
Yeah.
When should the budget be in and when the financials should be updated
So
for the community?
a lot of people say, hey, we're not getting monthly financial reports. You're not entitled to get monthly
Right.
financial reports. The only thing under the statute that the unit owners are required to get is that year-end financial report. And it's got to be made available to you. I think it's now, the statute was just changed to 180 days at the end of your fiscal year. Now, your fiscal year probably ends on December 31st. So now the association's going to have all the way to June 30th to have that year-end financial report ready. Now, does it bother me that the entire board moved out basically over an 8-week period? Yeah, there's something that's making the hairs on the back of my neck stand
Your
up.
spidey
There's something I
Yeah,
don't like about. I'm not
absolutely.
accusing anybody of wrongdoing. I'm just saying I don't like it when everybody moves out
No.
at the same time. Now, I don't know this person on
Right.
your board. If she's an accountant, she better be.
She
if she's
calls
going to be
herself.
an
She calls
accountant.
herself an accountant. She's
Okay.
got the books now, and she won't reveal anything. We ask questions at the board meetings, and they're not transparent in any way. They
Well,
just
then it's your
don't worry
obligation
about
to
it. We
ask
have it
for.
handled.
Hold on. So then it's your
I'm sorry.
obligation then to ask for access to records, right? Make a request to get
Okay,
copies of
okay.
records or access to those
Okay.
records. And not only that, you can make what's called a unit owner inquiry. So you can send a letter to
Okay.
your association saying, I want you to answer the following question. And the association
Okay.
has to answer that question within 30 days. If they don't answer the question within 30 days, they get 60 days if they refer the matter to their attorney. Okay? But if they just
Okay.
ignore your question completely, then if you wind up
Yeah.
in litigation with your association over that issue, normally your penalty, if you lost, would be that you have to pay their attorney's fees. But because they ignored you,
Okay.
right? Even if you lose now, you
Right.
don't have to pay their attorney's fees.
But who's this accountant? Is this
Okay.
accountant a treasurer or is this the accountant for your CAM?
She calls. No. She calls herself an accountant. That's what she named herself that. That's
But
her
how does she
title.
have the
She was,
records? I don't understand.
Well, I guess they gave her
and
whatever
we
records
haven't.
were left. Yeah,
We've been asking for an audit. We've been asking for an audit to have a CPA come in and do an audit. They
Okay.
refuse to do that.
Oh,
We have never had an audit in the community. So
How
I
big
think
is your
we
condo?
really need to do this.
Really quick, how big is your
It's
condo?
a townhouse condo, 1-story townhouse condos. They're all connected.
How many of them
Yeah.
are there?
Probably about 200.
Okay, so you definitely have a budget in excess of $500,000, I would say. So
Yes,
it looks to me
yes,
like you
yes.
are required, in fact, to do an audit. Now, you're telling me an audit hasn't been done in years?
No.
Well,
No, you mean we are required to have an audit?
a
Oh, yeah.
year-end
Oh,
audit if the budget
okay.
is more than $500,000. And if you're telling me you have
Okay.
200 units, then it's a condo, then it probably is in
Okay.
excess of $200,000, and requires an audit in excess of $500,000,
An
and
audit.
requires an audit.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So
By an outside accountant, you're saying? Is that
yes,
what you're
correct. But an
implying?
independent CPA,
Okay.
correct? Yes.
Well, very good.
Yeah. So
All right. Then. And also, is it normal for certain board members to have private meetings in their home without inviting the whole board and letting everybody know that
well,
there's a meeting?
if you get a
I thought-
quorum,
I-
hold up. If you have a quorum of board
Mhm.
members in attendance at that meeting, it needed to be properly noticed, right? And the unit owners have a right to attend that meeting. So the question always is, was there a quorum of owners in attendance at that meeting?
You mean board members?
A quorum of board members in
Were all
attendance
the
at that
board,
meeting.
were
correct.
all the board members were not invited to the meeting, though. That's
Okay.
the problem.
Well-
They're having private meetings.
They can have whoever they want in their unit at any one time. It's their unit, except for when it gets to a quorum. If
Which
there's
would
a
probably
quorum,
be 3.
yeah, I don't know how many board members there are, but yeah, if there's
They
5,
all left.
if 3 get there, right? If 3 are in the unit and there's 5 on the board, that's a quorum. And yes, that meeting needed to be noticed, and the unit owners have a right to attend. Okay? Hope that answers your question.
All right,
Yes.
thank you
Here we
so
go,
much.
So we're
Karen. What
Thank
else?
you. It
about-
sure did. Thanks a lot. All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
You know, we were talking about spoliation of the
Yep.
video, right?
Yep.
And Ruth Bettini says foliation. I've never heard of that.
Foliation. That's only in the
My
fall.
tree.
Yeah.
And then, so Google Far says, I would only show the video to a police officer or a legal authority.
No, may have to turn over a copy of that video to plaintiff's attorney.
Okay.
Right?
So
Certainly.
you have the right to see it. And if a Zoom meeting is deleted, is that spoliation? No, that's against.
Well, you now
You
have
have
to
to
make
keep that
recordings
as-
of the Zoom meetings. Yes, you should not be
that
deleting it.
is a.
Is it spoliation of evidence? No, but it's a violation of Florida Statute 718.
Okay.
Okay? Got a call, Rob?
Sure do.
Okay, who do we got?
Go to the next caller is David from St. Pete.
Hey, Dave.
Hi there. In regard to the Zoom meetings, if the board only uses the Zoom, do you have to give the link to regular members? If as long as you have the space where the board, most of the board is meeting, but 1 or 2 can't show up and they're using the Zoom to attend, does the link have to go out to all other members as well?
Yes, any meeting that's going to where somebody's going to be attending by Zoom, right? Anybody, the way I read the statute, then you have to provide that link to the Zoom meeting. It's not fair that just one member has the right to attend by Zoom and not everybody else. So the answer is yes, you got to provide that Zoom link. And if anybody's appearing by Zoom, then that meeting has to be recorded. Okay, and it's got to be maintained.
Right.
That original recording has to be maintained for a year. Okay, and
Yeah,
it's
I
got to go up on
understand
the
that. Yeah,
website.
Thinking it's just the board in order, and not regular members' capability of coming in on it,
If-
then we wouldn't have that problem.
Yep,
But-
nope. If that board member has a right to appear by Zoom, so does everybody else. So you have to post that link. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay, you got it. Let's take our bottom of the hour break. Some interesting calls. Yeah, a lot of good ones this morning. Taking your calls, 717-452-9378, 717-452-9378, or drop us a question or comment in the chat box on YouTube. We will be back right after this.
There are very large management companies and there are very small management companies. And I think Affinity sits somewhere in the middle of that, where they are big enough to provide you with all of the back of the house services, the accounting, the infrastructure, the support systems, but small enough to be high touch.
We believe at Affinity that we do the 9 to 5 so that you don't have to do that.
Welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs here on our YouTube channel. Karen Curtis with Eric Glazer. And we're taking your calls and your questions in the chat box. We had, by the way, a question about Facebook. This is kind of interesting. Apparently, they put a Facebook page up, but the board wants them to take it down.
Yeah,
And
this is so common.
they're demanding we take it down and is handing it over to the condo's attorney. Do they have a leg to stand
Very
on?
common. So a lot of now about the condo, right? To voice complaints, talk about the board, whatever it may be, right? Talk about different issues. Now, if it's apparent, if it looks like it's the official page for the condominium association itself, that's the only time you can really get in trouble, right?
So if it says condo owners,
Yeah, condo owners forum, or I would always suggest not the official Facebook page for the condo association, then you're good, right? Then you're fine. You avoid all
sure
the
it's
problems
clear.
that may come with it. Okay, so that's the way to do it. Just put in that language that says not the official Facebook page of the
condo
condominium
bitch
association.
place.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That would go along very well. Exactly. All right, we got to talk about our classes because I can't believe it, but the classes are literally coming up like next week.
October.
So education is now mandatory, everybody. You got to do it, like it or not. If you want to be on a condo or HOA board of directors, got to take an educational class for the first time in Florida's history. And I'm going to be teaching the 4-hour mandatory class for both condo and HOA members. And it also takes care of the 1-hour continuing education credit for condo members.
Which those people who are continuing stay for the all 4 hours because they just
If
love
they
it so
want,
much.
just stay.
Anyway.
Right. And you normally do, right?
Do you tell them, hey, this is your hour for
correct.
continuing?
We're going to start with the 1 hour. And if people want to, leave
Move
after that, they
on.
can. And you're right. Almost nobody's
They
going to leave.
don't, because they're like,
They
"We
want to
want more."
review it anyway. Exactly.
So they're all going to be taught at the L&O Condo and HOA Expos all over the state, and all the classes start at 8 a.m.
Yes. Okay.
And in the morning, yes.
Coming up. And first one's going to be Broward, October 7th.
And then you've got Palm Beach, that's October 16th.
Tampa on October 21st.
Bradenton, October 29th.
Miami, November 5th.
Don't let him down,
Yes.
Miami. Orlando is November 12th. And you teach so many things. You can register everything. You still have openings.
Yep. CondoCrazeandHOAs.com.
And you teach, basically everything: safety, inspection, reserve funding laws, importance from time to time language, common language, financial reports, everything, collections, manager responsibilities, and so much more.
A lot. And of
you get
course,
fed. It's free.
you get fed, right? Exactly. Lunch is going to be served for free. To register, everybody, just go to CondoCrazeandHOAs.com. And how about we go back to the phones, Rob?
Next caller is Armando.
How are you, Armando?
Good morning, Eric and company, and Karen. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Simple question. The condo where I reside, they are gonna go and do some upgrades to the electrical system.
Okay.
We went to the website and payment for that service was done by a homeowner, not the condo association.
Okay.
Does that present an issue?
Does it present an issue? Well, the question is, why did that owner pay it? Did the association not have enough money on hand to pay it, and the owner was nice and laid it out for the association? That happens. I was on a phone call earlier in the week where the same thing happened. The association simply didn't have enough money, so here's a good president that actually laid it out for the community.
Wow.
And said, okay, the community will pay me back when the community has it. So that in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean that, there's anything wrong or illegal about it. Not at all.
Okay, it's just that the company who's doing the study for the electrical work happens to be acquainted with a homeowner,
Well, when you
former
say
board member.
when you say acquainted with a homeowner, is it somebody on the board?
He had former board member.
Former board member. So there's nothing in and of itself illegal about the board entering into a contract with a company that's an owner owns, who's living there. Nothing wrong with it at all. Maybe you're getting a good price because of that, as a matter of fact. But it's a little different if the company is owned by somebody on the board,
Right.
because then we got to go through a whole bunch of disclosure requirements.
Or the guy that's footing the bill.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's
Right.
paying the bill?
Right. Who's paying the bill? Right. Exact. Paying yourself. I don't
Paying
know.
my bill.
Right. So no, there's not. Again, if that company is owned by someone simply living in the community, no big deal. You can hire that. Again, did you engage in competitive bidding if it's required? If it's more than 5% of the budget, we got to know about that, right? But no, nothing necessarily wrong with hiring a company that's owned by someone who lives in the community. The only way it starts to become a little shaky, where you got to look into it a little further, is if the company is owned by someone who's actually on the board. Then there's got to be disclosure in the contract itself.
Right.
And of course, when the board takes that vote to hire the company, the person who owns the company, has a financial interest in the company, needs to obviously recuse themselves from that vote. But other than that, nothing wrong there, Armando. Okay? Thank you for the call.
Just thank you so much for
You
taking my
got it.
call.
Be
Have a
well,
great
sir.
Sunday.
Take care. You
This
too.
reminds me of a topic you brought up in a past episode. What happened with that Miami condo that was basically all bought out by developers except for 2 owners
Yep.
who were
As
not?
far as I know, those 2 did not sell yet.
Oh,
So you have 2 that are,
Oh.
keeping everybody from selling. Yep, that's what can happen. And, the question is that law going to change, where it's going to make it more possible to terminate a condo, so we don't have a situation where 2 people
can
can
hold a
now.
building hostage.
Yeah, well, the problem is, though, is if that's what it said originally in the condo docs, right, that 100% vote is required, then that's what it is. 100% means 100%. That's what the court's decision held.
So all those people sold to the developer, so they're gone.
No, probably. I don't know if they all sold,
Okay.
because if developers, are smart,
They're gonna
normally they'll
wait.
say
They make an offer.
they make an offer, and the offer is contingent
Got it.
upon everybody selling. In other words, if I can't get my hands on everybody's unit, I'm buying none of your
Okay.
units, right? Typically, that's the way it's done. So yeah, but it prevents the sale. Let's say you have a 100-unit building.
Sure.
It prevents the sale of 98 units. And if there's a lot of repairs that are now required in that
And
building,
reserves.
and reserves and
and
all
y-
that, so these 98 people are saying, "You're killing me
You're
over here.
killing
I
me
need
over
to
here."
sell out," right? And 2 people
Who can
actually-
afford it?
who can afford it,
That's
right? Exactly. That's where we're currently at with the condominium law at the moment.
Brutal.
What do we got, Rob?
Let's go to Barbara.
Good morning, Barbara. How are you?
Hey, Eric, this is Barbara, AKA Real Estate Training School. Quick question. On our SIRS study,
Yes.
our building is 3 stories, 51 units. We have exterior walkways with railings and decorative posts.
Okay.
The SIRS has the walkways and the posts and the railings as structural.
Right.
Is it structural, or should that go into general? Because structural is supposed to be load-bearing walls.
So let's pull up what we did earlier in the day, right? Right, load-bearing walls. So what does the statute actually say as part? So we got roof
Exterior windows,
structure,
doors.
including load-bearing walls and other primary structural members and primary structural systems, right? As those terms are defined in another statute.
Oh, Lord.
So the question is, I'm not an engineer. I don't know if any of those things that you're talking about, to an engineer, is considered part of the actual structure itself. If they believe it is, then yep,
Okay.
that's going in your SIRS. I'm not, it's not my.
Well, it would certainly be part of safety.
Yeah, certainly safety. I agree 100%. But is it part of the structure itself? Remember, that's why they call it structural integrity reserve study. If an engineer believes so, then I'm yielding to the engineer, bottom line. but it's telling you to look in Florida
Mhm.
statute 627.706 for the answer. That's where you got to look. Okay.
Look
Good
at
question,
you.
Barbara. I like
Look
the
at
question.
you.
Look, a lot of a lot of people want to try to obviously save money. Barbara
Sure.
doesn't want to have to
What
put
can you
away
cut out,
for money.
right?
What can you cut out?
Right.
And their question is that one of them?
Yep.
Not for me to answer.
Yeah.
Okay. But I appreciate the call,
And
Barbara.
one
Yep.
more.
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
if the board wanted to revise the SERS and remove those items, what is the process on that? Do they have to have another SERS, or another milestone done, or another SERS done?
Um, the SERS study, I don't believe, has to be handed over um, to your building official, unlike a milestone inspection. So in other words, I know I'm going off topic a little bit for a second. A milestone inspection, let's say somebody says, we don't like the way the milestone inspection was done. It's saying all these things need repair or broken. We want to get somebody new to
A
do it.
second opinion.
Can't do that really.
Oh.
Why? Because that first report has to be handed over to the building official. The SERS report, I don't believe, has to be handed over to your building official. So is it possible to get somebody else to do your SERS? I think so, but I'm going to go with right now. The answer is yes, but I'll check it to make sure I'm right on that
Is
one.
this phase
Okay.
1, phase 2 on the SERS?
Yep, correct. But she's saying, suppose you don't like the way the SERS came out. Can you
have
say
a phase 1, phase 2?
that's for the milestone
Oh,
inspections?
okay.
For the SERS, you don't like the way the person did it. Like she's saying, can we get somebody else to do it who won't put it in there? And I think the answer to that is yes, but I'll check it out because I don't know if that has to go to your building official. I don't think it does. Good question, Barbara. We'll look it up. Okay.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank
Eric.
you.
Thanks,
All right,
Karen.
you got it.
Thank you.
Let's
Bye.
do this. Let's take our final break of the hour. Don't wait for the last second. Keep the calls coming in. 717-452-9378. 717-452-9378. Or drop us a question in the chat box. We'll be back right after this.
For mitigation after a catastrophic event, building restoration, repair and remediation consulting, or Senate Bill 4D inspections, please visit rimkiss.com.
All over the world, people have plumbing problems. These problems can be expensive and destructive to fix. Have you ever wondered if there was a way to take care of your plumbing problems without destruction and an outrageous price tag? Welcome to Pipelining Technologies, Inc., where we specialize in fixing your problems without demolition and minimum cutting by means of pipelining. Pipelining is the ability to take a pipe damaged by root intrusion or long-term deterioration and make it new. By means of inserting an epoxy-saturated liner into the pipe and allowing it to harden or cure, leaving behind a brand new pipe.
That sounds great. How can I get pipelining in my home, commercial building, or condominium?
Simply fill out our online contact form and a pipelining representative will get in touch with you in a timely fashion. Or call us directly at 561-853-5463.
Welcome back to our final segment of Condo Craze and HOAs here on our YouTube channel. If you'd like to ask us a question, Eric specifically, because he's the one that's board certified in Community Association Law, the number is 717-Glazer-8, 717-452-9378.
I'd love to know what people think at home. Are you as confused as somebody? I mean, it's really complicated stuff.
I was
I'm not
thinking
just
the
saying that.
SERS.
I'm not just saying, but this is complicated.
It's very I
Yeah.
thought the SERS had the phases.
There's
but
so
it's
many
the
twists. It's the
milestone.
milestone that has the phase 1 and the phase 2. And wait, let's make it complicated even further. In Dade and Broward, it's not called milestone phase 1 and phase 2. It's just called recertifications, right?
Okay, so before all this happened,
Mhm.
when your building was 30 years old, you didn't have a phase 1.
That's correct. Only in Dade and Broward
And what
did
was
you.
that called?
In Dade and Broward, it was always called the recertifications.
Okay.
But only Dade and Broward had it.
Okay, so now
Right.
they're calling it a milestone.
Milestones just in every county other than Dade and Broward, right? And by the way, in Dade and Broward, size is the important thing.
Oh, here
right?
we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's really complicated stuff, and there's a reason I think why the Florida bar finally made this area of the law an area where attorneys can become board certified. It wasn't always the case. It
And
only
so
happened in 2018.
The milestone and the SERS, that's what we're talking about in terms of the reserves. If
Cor-
you have they're
the
coinciding at the same time?
you could they are happening at the same time sometimes, right?
Okay.
That's why they're saying, yes, you have to fund your reserve account, right?
Okay.
You have to fund your structural integrity reserves. Very expensive. However, if you do your milestone and your milestone says you have to make all these repairs,
Right.
even though we said you have to do your SIRS,
Right.
we'll let you put it on hold for 2 years. That's the change in the law this year. Okay, that's the only break that you get in terms of not having to fund your SEERS, is if you need to use that money to do your milestone repairs and you've done that milestone inspection within the last 2 years.
And the SIRS are only for buildings that are 2 stories or
But
less.
the SIRS are 3 stories or more in every county
don't have to
except
do
for Dade and Broward, right?
size.
Dade and Broward, size is the important thing.
But milestone or whatever, everyone
Yes.
has to do it 30 years.
Everyone has to do it 30 years, Dade and Broward 25 years.
Oh my God.
And a building official can still make you do it in 25 years if there's environmental conditions such as proximity to the salt water
Yeah.
that building official believes requires you to do it earlier. Okay?
I got it now.
If somebody can call in and just repeat everything I just, it's
I-
really
I got it now.
it's complicated
Okay,
stuff.
got it.
All right, back to the phones.
All right, let's go to Joe in Delray.
How are you, Joe?
Joe.
This is Joe in Delray.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good morning, Eric and Karen. My question, we have the deferred maintenance threshold, I understand, was raised from $10,000 to $25,000.
Right.
It seems apparently there's no sliding scale depending on the size of your budget, and it's creating a situation. I'll have to give you examples just so you understand what I'm saying.
Sure.
We had, for example, an air conditioning unit on the roof of our clubhouse blew out prior to this. This was beginning of the year, and it was about $16,000, and we took the money from deferred maintenance. So our budget's $2 million a year.
Right.
The threshold is going to be a problem unless we start to itemize the deferred maintenance account. I'm not
Okay,
sure how to handle it.
So let's
because
take air
it seems to
conditioning.
me the threshold is unfair to smaller budgets,
Okay, so
to have to deal with that.
let's take your air conditioning, right? So your air conditioning is not part of the structural integrity reserve study, right? Because your air conditioning has
Right.
nothing to do with the structure of the building, right? But then we look to the other part
Go
of the
ahead.
statute, and the other part of the statute says, okay, you do have to fund reserve accounts, right? For any other item of deferred maintenance, like you said, that's going to be $25,000 or more, right? However,
Correct.
that particular reserve item, like the air conditioner, that could be waived by the community. You could waive the funding of reserves for your air conditioner. You can still do that. Okay, what you can't waive is the structural integrity reserves. You can't waive those. If the unit owners want to vote, because the Sears reserves has made your budget go up so much in 1 year, right? So the statute still will allow you to waive non-Sears reserves. What's an example of non-Sears reserves? The air conditioning. So you could waive that.
And the elevator.
The elevator, the pool, things like that, you can still continue to waive. So you want to look like a hero, I guess, to a lot of people in the community. Say, yes, we have to fund the reserves, but I just found out today from Mr. Glazer that we can vote to waive reserves for a whole bunch of other categories that we were previously reserving for. And now maybe the reserves have not gone up at all once you do the math. Got it?
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I didn't mention that we're villa type buildings, only single story buildings
Okay.
in the community.
So the elevator doesn't apply.
Of course, I'm referring to the clubhouse, which is one
So
story
if
as well,
you're-
but I
okay.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So,
So one story
I don't know how that would
story
affect
buildings.
this.
Where are you
Excuse me?
located?
we're in Delray.
In Delray. Okay, so Delray is which county?
Palm
It's
Beach.
Palm Beach
That's,
County.
that's Palm Beach.
So
Palm Beach
you
County.
don't even
Palm Beach County,
yeah,
yes.
you don't even have to reserve for structural integrity reserves because you're not a 3-story building.
Right.
Period. So you don't even have to do it at
I
all.
should have mentioned that.
Right. So but can you still vote to waive reserves for the things like the air conditioning? Absolutely. You can vote to waive all your reserves. Absolutely. Why?
Except
Because
if it's
you're
a
under 3
milestone.
stories. No, he can still waive all of that. And when the milestone inspection comes up, he still has to do it.
Okay.
But in terms of reserves, for reserves, you can waive all of it if you want to, or some of it. You're still good.
Would I be doing something unlawful if we have we have 4 units up there? If the next one blows and it's going to cost 15 or 16,000, does that mean I cannot take it out of deferred maintenance?
I don't know
Because
what
it's
you
not
mean by
25,000.
deferred maintenance. What kind of deferred maintenance account do you have? Are you using pooled reserves? Are you using line item reserves? I'd have to know a
it's
lot
line
more.
item.
Line item. So,
I think
as you
I think that's
know,
our problem. We don't have a line item for deferred. It's just a big lump of money.
yes. So to remind everybody, if it's a line item reserves, you can only use the money that's put away for that specific item for that specific item. The only way you could use, let's say you need money for your roof, but you have a lot of money in your pavement account. You want to take it out of pavement. The only way you can do that is a majority vote of all owners. It used to be a majority vote of a quorum of owners. No more. Now it's a majority vote of all owners. Okay? Hope that answers your
Thank
question,
you
my
very
friend.
much.
Take care. You be well.
Well, I listen every week and I learn a lot. Thank you
so much. Appreciate it. All right. Who else we got, Rob? God, the hour goes fast.
Yeah.
Huh? Let's go to the next caller. Is Robin from Boca Raton.
Hey, Robin.
Yes, this is Robin from Boca Raton.
Good morning.
We did a 2024 milestone report as well as a Sears and non-Sears Association reserve study.
Yeah, you did both.
We are doing a huge condo project, and we wish to waive the reserves for 2026, 2027, and in lieu of that, we are going to special assess over 32 months so that everything can be paid for by the end of 2028.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why you can't do that. Go ahead.
If the association waives the reserves and did not special assess, everything that we waived, we'd have to play catch up with in calendar year 2028.
Yes.
Is my question.
So the answer is once that 2-year period of waiving the reserves is up, the statute says now you have to do a brand new reserve study. And if that reserve study, so that whatever that reserve study says, that's what you're going to have to do. I don't know what that reserve study is going to say.
12-month period.
Say that again? No, not during a 12-month period. Just going forward, you're going to have to comply with whatever that structural integrity reserve study says. Now, if you're making the repairs that are required, right, then the bottom line is the reserves should actually go down. They shouldn't go up. They should go down because you're making all those repairs.
Accounted for in the 2024 study. It was our concrete restoration project.
Yeah, but you just told me you're doing a whole bunch of repairs now, right? According to your milestone, right? Your milestone said you need to do a whole bunch of repairs. Right. So when you do that new reserve study, right, in 2 years from now, that new reserve study should actually make your reserves go down because you're doing all of the repairs, all of the expensive repairs now, and those repairs will not be necessary for many, many years out into the future. So it should probably make your repairs go down.
In our 2024 reserve study, it already took in account that we special assessed
Understood.
for that. So
Understood. I got it. Yeah, I understand. So it may or may not. I got it. But yes, after those 2 years are up of waiving the reserves, then you'd have to do a brand new reserve study and go by whatever that says.
study play catch up.
Exactly. You may have to. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
your answer.
You got it. How about we take one more, Robin?
Let's go to David in Tampa Bay.
How are you, Dave?
I forgot to ask you earlier, if telephonic calls considered the same as Zoom calls? Do they have to be recorded and kept?
No, there's a separate
Recording them all
statute.
by phone.
No. There's a separate statute now on video conferencing. Okay, it's a totally separate statute on video conferencing. And no, a telephone call obviously is not a video conference. So telephone calls do not have to be kept recording. Only video calls do.
So
Okay.
are they
Thank
making a telephonic call during a Zoom meeting?
You
No.
got me confused.
In place of, and if you don't have a Zoom meeting, call if they call in by phone to make a quorum and discuss things, but it's by phone and not by Zoom.
Got it. Okay. Nope. The answer is no. They do not have to record those. They do not have to preserve those calls. Unlike video conferencing, unlike a Zoom call. Okay.
Fantastic.
Hope that
Thank
answers
you.
your question. You got, oh my God, video conferencing, telephone calls, Sears, milestone
The
inspections,
the
right?
mind
Yeah,
reels.
yeah, exactly. From all this.
Are you rooting for the Jets tonight?
What is it? Jets Dolphins on TV?
Monday night. Pardon
On
me.
Monday night, tomorrow night. Why do I think both of them are going to lose somehow? I'm telling. It would not shock me if at the end of the game they're both 0-4. You know, nothing would shock me at this point.
Hey, Eric,
Yes.
we have Sam on the line. Maybe we could.
Oh, love to come on. Put him on. Sam Hodge. How are you, Sam?
Hodge from HCMC, our new sponsor.
How are you, Sam? You there?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Thank
so
you. Good
glad to have
morning.
you. We are honored, my friend.
I wanted to thank you all for allowing us to be a sponsor of the
Oh,
program.
thank you. It's an honor for
And
you to
we
be a
especially
sponsor.
look forward to, we look forward to being able to provide services, construction management services that are geared towards the association to your members. And hopefully in the near future, I can join you on the program in person.
We can't wait. Sam,
and
you
we
know
can
what?
delve into this.
Hey, as long as you're on, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your company and why it's important to have a construction project manager?
Especially now.
Yeah.
HCMC has been in business now for 16 years. I created the company after being within the construction industry for nearly 40 years and finding that there was a great need in Florida to provide these services to HOAs and COAs. Over the last 3 years, we've been concentrating more on being able to develop specialized services that are geared towards the association's needs.
Well, I did
And
my
we
homework
met
on
with
you, my
the-
friend, and I see that you were actually involved in some absolutely monumental projects in Las Vegas. I mean, massive. That's my town.
Yes,
so.
I was director of construction for Turnberry, and we built within Las Vegas 9 high-rise condo buildings, and so now we're kind of transitioning our experience. And
Didn't you also do
assisting
some
with
work on the
remediation
Palazzo?
work.
Yeah, didn't I also see that you did some work on casinos like Palazzo?
The Palazzo in Las Vegas, as well as the Borgata in Atlantic City.
Wow, fantastic.
So
That's
I'd
great.
say he saw a need and he went for it. with his
Exactly,
new
and
company.
there's a huge need down here
Yeah.
because the reality is, we're dealing, Sam, with people who, I mean, I hope you listen to today's show, but there's so much to know by people who are on the board now. And in all candor, look, I'm paid to learn it. I'm paid to do it. A lot of the people well, I shouldn't say a lot of the people, nobody on the board is paid to learn any of this stuff or to be involved in this stuff every single day. And, if you're them, who has time to make sure that your contractor is doing every single thing that the contractor's supposed to do? And I guess that's where you come in.
Absolutely. I cannot agree with you more. And there's no reason for board members to attempt to become construction professionals overnight.
Right. It's
That's
impossible.
what we're for.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, I really look forward to having you on the show. Hey, as long as we got you on, how about telling everybody how they can learn more about you?
you can go to our website, hodgecnc.com, and there's a list of our previous projects.
Why
give
don't you
a little
spell it?
background.
Why don't you spell the website out? Oh, you did. Great. Okay, fantastic. Well, I knew Robert was going to do that. I should never have doubted that for a second. Thank you, Rob. Stan, please know how much we appreciate it here on the show, and we're honored to be working with you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you be well.
Have a good day.
Take care. All right, can't wait to meet him. Sounds like a great guy, an intelligent guy. Okay, that brings us to the end of another show. What a confusing,
Thank you. I have a
crazy
headache.
show, right? Isn't it the type of show that where you leave with a headache today? Pretty wild. Really?
My brain came out of my ear.
I don't even know if a third of what I said is right, but we gotta hope so, right?
Oh my God.
Who's gonna know? Right? I'm kidding. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Condo Craze and HOAs.com. If you need legal help off the air, please give Glazer and Sachs a call, 954-983-1112. Again, 954-983-1112 during the week. Karen, thank you so much. Rob, thank you so much. Everybody tuning in today, thank you so much. And we'll see you again next Sunday at 11 a.m. Everybody have a wonderful, safe, healthy week. Take care.